My brain is wet and sloppy and not yet awake. A ball rolling, a marble in my mouth, a detachment, and the shadow of an attack that's not quite reached this morning. Dreams come on unexpectedly in the light of a new life, where the end of our fights meant sliding along the wet tarmac of the road, like a snail, slowly feeding under a joint or turn, curves, unremarkable yet steady. Depositing me here in bed without the heaped weight of her collapsed body, the force of pressure after a long battle. I tried making bubbles, a big one to cover and shield, but the fact of her presence and action would burst it, like crashing or trying too hard. A visualization fast failed. Sun is smacking the sides of buildings, so they give off that cruel light, like the view from a dentist's chair. Moss is the lichen of living houses, roofs full of it. Flashes of pajamaed limbs stir in the other windows. Behind mine, the light of the outside, cold, mixes somewhere in the air with the orange of my nightstand lamp. I'm making my own twilight, although I should call it dawn. The uniformity of the soft yellow fence, the highest thing in the sky from here. Grey-blue sky now, a very slow-moving screen. It's a whole swathe of colour, a child's watercolour painting. The page is sopping, creased and wet, and you find yourself surprised that it's there, instead of the cloud-muddied norm of the winter. Ivy creeps over the joints of two walls, touching each other. The small brown door that reaches the alley is homely, yet out of place next to a kerosene oil tank. Scarred concrete ground with a black bin resting on it. Socks, pants, jeans strung up on two nails from stained beams. I'm facing this alleyway of old Belfast, steam rising like a pillar of smoke from someone's heating hut chimney. The police station fence, soft yellow fence, has the most strange garden lights, the sort you'd think motion sensed in creeping terrorists. Before I get up, I'm reminded to tend to my plant, how its dried Rice Krispied hairs go brown on the outside before they die. To give speed to the body caught up with the head. The recent past, this time last year. Although there should be days that stand out, they went with her. When I watch TV with no one new. The texture of the sticky leather sofa with the odd embroidered cushion, like icebergs sitting amongst ashtrays and filter tips. The cigarettes I have in frozen air catch my throat like sucking on the smoke of a 10-pence bright blue ice pop. Bed is where our limbs lost meaning. To try to be sincere, there is routine, there is TV, there are hours stretched out in a thin line where the veins of my wrists pop and my eyes grow wet each second spent releasing them from shadow, tension, watch freezing fog descend from bedroom window. Friday night, my first nocturne, the short working week. I wait around until the time I set off walking, in the furred thermal tights of a winter bird. I pass the main road, along the park road, skirt the rugby field. That one house with giant floor-to-ceiling height windows. It's got a chair in hues of cream inside, and then I move my eyes right over to the tops of mountains looking down at me. Usually they're no more than shapes, like cut-out fabric, card, or paint. Two shapes, the sky, the mountains, this rough-cut line between them. And depending on the time and light, they sit apart, or flush and kept together, they are eerie and art-like. Art. These big shapes, and all there is. At night, I draw the buildings until they turn off all the lights. An ode to ambivalence. Successful immersion means the body isn't knowable, or someone that you know. How to disassociate a self spent trammeled under words until consciousness hits limits, not fully knowing what it is or where. To be a witness, then, to see as a meaning. I see the bleakness of the situation. Our moments snapping back on selves, broke open with small cuts, hurt, and mixed in all these words. But only just the boring parts, the trees, the leaves, the dirty houses. The disguise comes at a fast pace. in any good days had, the moving quick, the sidelong glances, plans half filled and full of past tense. The wall of cloud, like an atomic mushroom, or something supernatural, or a canopy. A flight approaches, and when you see it, and you enter it, and it's the past, but it's also just the weather. It's part of the reason people are so nice, and also so hard, so crabbit. Walking home, there are things to hold on to. The shoebox, the lid lifted, a wooden chair folded and leaning on wall, the green sunscreens, blinds I suppose, rolled up and waiting for the heat to smile, creasing the air in two. Stairs and the line between floors where the up and down meet on a flat plane. The baby is dying. It's 4 a.m. and everyone's drunk. The Belfast boys are screaming at my back window, so I wave a hand to them. I go to the party they're at in the bright daylight. There's a lack of everything hung on the air, everyone, the absence of birdsong. The only clue that we're in the night to lie on the grass with a bottle of something and stare up at the blue starting to make its way into the cold white of a new day. The blankness, the ability of some to sleep through it all. I comfort them, woman with daughter dead, walking with one arm around the bulk of her summer frock, masculine, maternal. But in the hospital, it's hard to recognize the baby that's hers, a room full of naked, hairless, squirming. The child, a girl, rests underwater, thinking at first it's formaldehyde to preserve the already empty eyes. Like from the bottom of a glass of beer, bubbles stream from her nose. Thin, runny slime. A hole shaped as a full day, sunrise, sunshine, sundown, every day on repeat. Settling into this rhythm and held in the cup of its great hand, carried off somewhere. When the wind blows and the rain flings itself upwards, even to hit the backs of your ears, there's pieces of you missing before you realize. Shirking off stairs, leaving the day marked with a printed impression, or arrogance, or here. Writing missing a flat plane or an edge like the side of a building does. What can anyone say about a place once we're away from it? Something sinister in its materiality, thick like Play-Doh, pouring like liquid, and draining from a bath like poisoned paint, where the tips of 2 sets of toes are the only thing visible, bobbing. The art was the flames, the building was burning, projections caught on the glass somehow, and lit from behind. The line between night and light moves over the city, a horizontal, situating and placing in season, time, and day, based on the pitch and depth of the night diffused on the writing desk. This is a beautiful light, yet reminds again a cycle has passed, like time has run out, like a bomb is about to go off. Someone said, reality does not occur in sentences, and even words are hangers-on, indented, set back and barred, also frosted in thick, bulbous squares like the front door of a childhood is. When have you ever seen a set of ripples find stillness, like the great underwater lakes that paralyze eels in the deepest parts of Blue Planet 2? The road ahead just disappeared into bog and a carpet of rushes. Something collapsed in on itself. He was brushing his teeth. I said something sharp. He couldn't answer with words, with our profiles facing in a harsh light. Thank you.